Over the years, many Formula One drivers have been labeled as being accident-prone. Even though the majority of drivers were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, some drivers made problems for themselves. While some racers, like Jody Scheckter, eventually outgrew their reckless behavior, others never even tried to mature and improve. In this video, we're going to rank the 10 most crash-prone drivers in F1 history. First off, at number 10, Timo Glock's brief F1 career. Timo Glock had an extremely short F1 career, and even that was filled with constant collisions, even though he was a pretty good driver. The crashes involving Timo Glock are actually famous among F1 followers. He famously crashed during the German Grand Prix in 2008, the Japanese Grand Prix in 2009, the Australian Grand Prix in 2008, and the Belgian Grand Prix in 2010. Honestly, it's surprising he lasted as long as he did in the sport. Timo's Formula One career began in 2004, when he took Giorgio Pantano's seat at Jordan after his crash. He returned in 2009 for 5 seasons, including 2 with Virgin, 2 with Toyota, and 1 with Marussia. But rather than being famous for his driving skills, he made more of an impression about his terrible accidents. Coming in at number 9, Scheckter's bad past. Some people might find it shocking to hear that Jody Scheckter, the 1979 world champion, was at one point considered the most hazardous driver in Formula One. This was very early on in his career, of course. After Scheckter collided with Fittipaldi during the 1973 French Grand Prix, the Brazilian world champion was forced to retire. Fittipaldi was famously caught on camera calling him a lunatic and saying he has no business competing in Formula One. And he wasn't wrong, because at that time, Scheckter was a risk both to himself and everyone around. He went on to cause one of the largest car pileups in Formula One history in the British Grand Prix a week later. He spun during the opening lap, which caused 10 vehicles to stop racing. But despite his recklessness, no one could deny that Scheckter had talent. In 1979, he joined Ferrari, where he went on to win his lone championship. It would be almost 20 years later until Schumacher won the title in 2000 before Ferrari would win another championship. Jody Scheckter is living proof that a budding world champion can emerge from a young, inexperienced, and accident-prone driver. Moving on to number 8, Vittorio Brambilla. Brambilla was known as the Monza Gorilla and was born in Monza in 1937. Throughout 6 F1 seasons, he competed for March, Surtees, and Alfa Romeo. He was a generally competent driver who occasionally exceeded the speed limit, but we all remember he crashed while leading the Australian Grand Prix in 1975. Brambilla won the race, but during his post-race victory lap, he spun and wrecked the car's nose. Then, as part of a unique victory lap, he waved to motorists with the damaged vehicle. Brambilla continued to compete until 1980, but he never again finished first, though he did have a few more crashes. Next up at number 7, Yukio Katayama was a train wreck. Katayama was a Japanese driver who competed in Formula One from 1992 to 1997. He mainly drove for Tyrrell and Minardi. Some fans even say that he only got into the league because of his rich sponsors. He crashed and had so many rookie mistakes in his first 2 seasons that he earned the nickname Kamikaze. Katayama is remembered for the 1995 Estoril crash, one of the most insane F1 crashes ever. He became airborne after colliding with Luca Badoer's Minardi. Thankfully, neither driver was seriously hurt in the incident. In his final year with Tyrrell, he raced alongside Mika Salo, but that didn't last long. After leaving Tyrrell, he signed with Minardi, finished in the top 10 twice when racing in Monaco and Hungary, and announced his retirement from the sport. It's a shame he never lived up to the hype he got when he joined the sport. Coming up at number 6, Grosjean drove fast and crashed faster. The Frenchman had a reputation for having bad luck. He crashed during his karting debut when he spun, collided with another kart, and then hit a wall. Talk about leaving a first impression. When he entered the F1, not much had changed. Grosjean was a quick driver, which allowed him to qualify for races, but he would retire as soon as he would qualify. For example, he finished 3rd in qualifying for the 2012 Australian Grand Prix before colliding with the iconic Pastor Maldonado. He failed to complete the race. A week later, he set the 6th fastest time in qualifying, only to crash out on the 4th lap and retire. The most famous one came when he was wrecked in the 2018 Grand Prix of Azerbaijan. He lost control while attempting to warm his tires. Unfortunately, his F1 career never recovered from the constant hits, and we doubt that it ever will. Moving on to number 5, Von Tripp's untimely passing. Including Von Tripp on our list was an easy decision, because once you look at his stats, you realize how fitting the nickname, the Count Von Crash, really was. He crashed his Ferrari in the Nürburgring during testing in 1957, and he also crashed in Monza in 1956 and 1958. But a tragic incident happened during the 1961 Italian Grand Prix. At Monza, he was in yet another collision, but he wasn't as lucky this time around. His car was lifted into the air after making contact with Jim Clark, and he collided with the barriers. He died in the collision, along with 15 bystanders. That year, Von Tripp had the championship lead. He placed 2nd in the Drivers' Championship after his passing, which was won by his teammate Phil Hill. Up next at number 4, Yuji Ide was thrown out by the FIA. Ide was a skilled racer in his native country, Japan, and was chosen at the age of 31 to join joined the Super Aguri squad. His crew quickly turned against him because of his poor performance and limited English language skills. Aguri Suzuki, the team's manager, said that Ide wasn't able to operate the car, which explains the number of accidents he was in. Throughout the Australian Opening, he frequently spun, failed to make turns properly, and one time he even slammed into Christian Albers, flipping him upside down. An official petition was launched with the FIA to suspend his super license following the collisions. 4 races into the 2006 season, the FIA finally gave in to the demand and effectively terminated his license. Following up on number 3, Pastor Maldonado was a nepotism baby. Now, the top 3 players on our list are the real crash masters. We have the powerful Pastor Maldonado at number 3. Pastor Maldonado's professional life was full of mishaps, and this started way before he joined the F1. He failed to slow down while under a yellow flag during the Monaco Grand Prix in the 2005 Formula Renault 3.5 season, nearly killing a race official. The only reason he didn't get a lifetime ban then was because his wealthy father covered the injured steward's entire medical bill. Maldonado was able to keep his F1 dream, but that too didn't last long. He voluntarily used Lewis Hamilton's vehicle as a bumper during the 2011 Belgian Grand Prix qualifying session and was penalized 5 grid positions for this achievement. He eventually left the sport because of issues with his sponsors. Coming in at number 2, Taki Inoue's short-lived career. Taki Inoue competed in F1 in 1995 and 1996, and if rumors were to be believed, then he only got his position because of his family's money. During his short career, he experienced a lot of unusual accidents. His car broke down during the 1995 Monaco Grand Prix. When the safety car struck him, he was pulled back by a truck to the side. This caused his car to roll, but thankfully he wasn't hurt. After his car broke down once more during the 1995 Hungarian Grand Prix, he got outside and attempted to assist the race officials in putting out a fire. He was forced to leave Formula One after the 1995 season when his sponsors quit due to his poor performance. And finally, at number 1, Andrea the Professional Crasher. At the age of 21, Andrea de Cesaris began his Formula One career with Alfa Romeo during the 1980 season. He went to McLaren in 1981 to take Alain Prost's spot, and that year, he broke 18 chassis, gaining the nickname Andrea de Crasherus. The team knew he would crash again, so they withdrew him from the race. While he was quick, he was also wildly unpredictable. He frequently placed in the top 6 during qualifying, but would crash when the time came to really perform. De Cesaris suffered a severe collision and reportedly overturned his vehicle during the 1984 Zeltwig Austrian Grand Prix. He returned to the pits after being only slightly hurt, and team owner Guy Ligier sacked him immediately, saying they couldn't afford to keep him on the track. And this wasn't because of his fees, they just couldn't afford to have him break another car. Andrea retired 14 times in a season of 16 races, so obviously he tops our list. That's a wrap for this video. Which driver do you think should have never gotten their super license? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.